So today we will talk a little bit about how to avoid the two extremes, and we can learn about the middle way. And also when we talk about middle way, I said to you there are three different kind of the middle way. Middle way of the basis, the middle way of the person, and middle way of the path. So when we talk about the middle way of the basis, this means we have to know the right way of the exist or phenomena. So until now, we can see the things are different, then they exist in different way, but we can see we perceive the thing as different way. So that means we have a really a lot of confusion about the basis, all basis. And also when we say the middle way of person middle way, that means this is more talking about how we can live in a middle way of life. So middle way of speaking, the middle way of thinking, and the middle way of activities. So the practice of middle way is very important for Buddhist and non-Buddhist. For example, when you speak to someone too much is not good. If you don't speak anything is not good. You have to speak, you have to communicate with other, but you must know how much I should talk, how much and when I have to stop. And also the middle way action of body, action of mind, action of speech. So mind is very important because the people, the first time who took interest in Buddhism, the people who took first time interest in general religion, they thought, he or she thought, oh, I must practice seriously. That's when you are putting too much effort for practicing. After a while, maybe after 1 month, after a few years, then you feel really tired. Then most people give up practicing religion. So that's why you have to find the middle way of practice. You have to practice, but you shouldn't practice too much. For example, if you need to carry something, first you need to think your ability, your power, your energy. If you have very little energy, you shouldn't carry very heavy luggage. So that's why we are very beginner, or we are very new, like the disciple of student who practice, who study about Buddhism. So you must know how much you should spend time with the practice, with the study, and also you need to do other things. So you must follow the middle way of practice, middle way of thinking, and middle way of action. So we learn a little bit how, according to generally all four school, they claim themselves, I am the middle way school. They are fall into extreme. From the consequence school point of view, and the school says, all other school fall into extreme. Only the consequence school claim themselves, I am the only one who follow the middle way. So there are 4 different ways how to avoid the extremes. So extreme, there's a 2 extreme. One is permanence extreme. Second is the annihilation extremes. So according to the Vipassana schools, the person claim and accept after the causes and condition there's no result. There is one of the extreme of permanent. After condition, if there is no result, no effect, then also the extreme of annihilation. So here we must learn, all the conditioned phenomena, they always produce effect, condition or impermanence phenomena. So we just follow the text. Everybody have a copy.
Yes.
Page number 175. Okay, when the autonomies, when the other Buddhist schools, according to the consequence school from the point of view, autonomy school, mon-only school, sutra school, and great explosion schools are wedged by consequence school. So from the consequence point of view, from the consequence school point of view, all other school falls into extinct. They are all found to fall to extinct of permanence and annihilation. However, the autonomous school said, the autonomous and the below each maintain that their own system is the middle way school, because they claim that they accept to middle, free from the true extreme of permanence and annihilation. So even though in the lower school, school of Vipassika school, from the Vipassika school point of view, and other school also falls into extreme. So when we say that falls into extreme, must follow the middle way. I mean the mind have to follow the middle way, the mind, the way of thinking. So each maintain that their own system is the middle, the middle way, because they claim that they accept a middle free from the true extreme of permanence and annihilation. Moreover, each of the four schools of Tenet has different way of avoiding the extreme of permanence and impermanence. So it's generally, each school has their own way how to avoid the extreme, how to avoid true extreme. So, for example, they hold an extreme or permanent is to, superimpose extensions on what actually does not exist. So when we say permanence extreme, the meaning of what does mean permanence extreme or permanence? That means the superimpose existence on what actually does not exist. For example, think about the particular tree. The tree is impermanence. If somebody think the tree is permanent, that's means the people impose extra characteristic on the tree, which is not exist. When we say permanent, they always put the extra characteristic which is not exist, permanence, right? Impose the superimpose existence on what actually does not exist. As unholding, that is the unity and independent self-existence. To hold an extreme of annihilation is to deny the existence of something that actually does exist, but as in whole, that there is no liberation from self-existence. That means kind of annihilation. So if it's, for example, the easy way we should think, as a Buddhist, we believe there's a previous life. there's a next life. If you really think there's no next life, then there's no previous life, then you are fall into one extent of annihilation. Because think of the previous life and the next lives are exist, but you think you really believe it does not exist. That means you are fall into annihilation. And even though you think the previous life and the next life exists, if you think yes that exists, but the life is continuously passing to previous life, this life, and this life to next life, then if you think the life is the permanent, and also the life permanent is not exist, and also if we can say this kind of the permanent extent, that means you have to say the life is exists but not permanent, not totally nothingness. That means you avoid the true extreme on the life. So there's all phenomena has a true extreme. Any kind of phenomena, if you say all the conditioned phenomena are permanent, and then also you impose external characteristic. If you say all conditioned phenomena are no exist, and also you fall into extreme, one of the annihilation. So permanent doesn't mean just when we talk about permanent and impermanent, it's not same meaning. The first school, the proponent of the great exposition maintain that they avoid the extreme of permanence, because they assert that they claim when an effect is produced, it causes. That means that each conditioned phenomena, when the effect, when the result is produced, and that the particular cause have to be exist. So we had a little discussion, for example, when the first moment of fire produce the smoke. When the first moment of fire produces smoke, then when the second, when the smoke exists, the fire which is produced the smoke, it has ceased. Always. That's why we can see around you. There's a lot of things are always changing, because it's changing due to the causes and condition. I said to you before, there's two types of impermanence: the gross and subtle. The gross permanent always have to be depends on the other factors. The subtle impermanent never depends on other factors. It's very much depends on their own causes and condition. There's a little changes in cause, that there's a result and effect. When the result just come into exist, the cause which is produced the particular result is cease. That's why according to Buddhism, we believe also we think all the impermanence phenomena are always changing momentarily. If there's not momentarily changing, then there's no kind of gross level of changing. The gross level of changing depends on the subtle changing. The subtlest changing very much depend on their own causes and conditions. They don't need any other second factors. That's why there's a kind of logic. For example, the vase, the cup, is posed, is impermanence because the cup is, their nature is impermanence. Is after 1 minute, the cup is decay, is change, because it exists it exists as a impermanence nature. Somebody build a house, not really solidly. They put very simple kind of the material. Then we know, guarantee after a few days, few months, the building going to collapse, because they build as an unstable building. That's why, even though when you look at a particular object, you can see the object is same as yesterday, same as this morning, same as this afternoon. In the reality level, is always changing due to their own causes. So so that's why, according to the great exposition school said, things when the produce effect is produced, the cause exists. Second, they also avoid the extreme of inhalation, because they said an effect arises after the termination of cause. That means, the effect, the result always have to become after the cause. So this is the way of how to avoid the two extreme of great exposition school point of view of great exposition schools. So according to the great exposition school, they don't mention much. They don't mention much about the very subtle impermanence. Their point of view is more like a general, the people what we think. In generally, they think it's just normal people point of view. They are not really going very deep level. Second, the proponent of sutra says that they avoid the extreme of inhalation through asserting that the continuum of compounded phenomena exists continuously. That's means, according to sutra school, all the compounded phenomena they always have a continuum. Exists continually. The compounded phenomena exist continually. So this is kind of really big question. They claim, they said all the compounded phenomena, all the impermanence phenomena, the continuums always exist. So we can understand, the material things, kind of the substance things. Maybe they always have a continuum. So the second question, what about the negative thoughts and emotions? So we believe, when we achieve nirvana or Buddhahood, we believe, all the negative emotion going to cease. We believe we are able to eliminate negative emotion. We believe, the ignorance eliminate from the root. For example, if we break this lid, it's going to be many pieces, and we bring just one piece, we chop again, it's become very small pieces, and if we throw away, somewhere, and the substance or the atom remains in the space somewhere. But what about the emotion, the negative emotion? So now we have a very strong anger. After you practice great compassion, then you can see that we can see the grace is, decrease. Further, I don't know. So it has a continuum or not. This is the big question.
But emotions, they are mental factor, right?
Yeah.
Mental factor, like you said, they have a degree. They either go to dormance or it go to dormance and arising, and then it won't stay there. Then it will go dormant again. So by you saying this, it gives an idea that you are objectifying emotions. So are those imprints that arise and go, the moment it arises, and when it ceases forever, and you accumulate a new one and a new one coming in. So it is not per se a continuum or the same emotion that you had, because your morning angry and your afternoon angry, they are not related anger.
So we really don't know. So maybe the afternoon anger is continuum of the morning anger. Maybe yes or maybe no. So when you practice great compassion, it looks like I don't have an anger, but the anger remains dormant. But it doesn't mean that moment the anger is no more anger. It's still anger, but it remains very vaguely. So finally, it's because for us, we can anger increase and decrease, increase and decrease. The practitioner, for example, the Arya or Hat, when they practice great compassion, they are really, confronted with anger. They always, decrease and decrease. Finally, it look like already eliminated.
But you also said, Geshe, great compassions and anger, they do not coexist. So if you are able to practice and feel with 100% great compassion, even you have anger, will it be eliminated or will it stay dormant? Because can you have 100% compassion?
Yeah.
If you have 100% compassion, according to the logic that you told us, then anger
0% anger.
0% anger.
That's why when you said 0% anger, it does mean the continuum of anger is end or not.
Yeah.
It's end or not. If this is end, then before the end the anger, this anger must be continuum, because there's all the compounded phenomena. There's according to their point of view.
The sutras.
Yeah. They look at there. That the continuum of the compounded phenomena exists continuously. Compounded doesn't mean kind of the material or kind of also include all the emotions, include all the mind and mental factors. The second, for example,
can you explain to us what is compounded?
Compounded
phenomena.
Yeah, compounded phenomena means.
Please text.
Tibetan we say duche, Compound means things come together that produce
So it can be substance or without substance.
Without substance. For example, the anger also the compounded phenomena.
What are the?
It's come different causes and conditions together, the anger arising. Compounded means compound cause and condition come together, then produce effort.
So it's not something like coffee is water and coffee beans put together and you have coffee. Not that kind of compound.
Coffee is compound with the sugar, milk, and coffee beans. In the particular coffee beans also there's compound different substance. When you go particular atoms also compound many things. Compounded phenomena not necessarily be like the external phenomena. Internal phenomena also the compounded phenomena.
So compounded phenomena, there's two aspects. One is the components that make up that object, or the cause and conditions that give rise to a phenomena. So there's two ways of looking at compounded phenomena. One is the substantial and the other one is without substance. So substance one will be like the clocks is made of its parts, so that those are compounded. But for things that is without substance, things such as anger or emotion or mental factor, they are compounded because they are the products of the causal conditions.
Produced due to the primary cause and secondary cause. The compound two things, the primary and secondary cause compound, then they arise emotion. My question is, end of the kind of the samsara, when someone, so for example, someone ready to live, ready to overcome from the samsara, so when they cease the samsara, they cease all the negative thing, emotion, the ignorance, include ignorance. When we say the cease, that means the negative emotion is totally end or not, is the question. If end, that means the all compounded phenomena, not necessarily they have a continually. This is the question, But Sudara said, the compounded phenomena must have a continuum, exist continuously. For example, they said that when a table is born, even though the continuum of similar types of the compounded phenomena, namely the continuum of the specific table is set. So according to the Swatantra said, in Tibet it was very easy. So all the compounded phenomena always have to be exist continuously. That means they award one of the extreme, which is the extreme of annihilation.
Can we use nihilism? It's easier to understand.
Yeah. The second one, all the compounded phenomena, exist continuously, as well as they have to, change momentarily. Then they award the permanence extreme. Right? So this is the point of view from the, Swatantrika. The second is third one. Sorry, first, second, third. Third is I think the one only school. The proponent of the one only school say that they award the extreme of permanence by imputation. It is little difficult to understand the meaning. Imputational, right? Imputational nature do not true exist. Then, according to Chitta Mantra school, there's a three, characteristic. All phenomena must include into three, characteristic. One is the other power. We call other power. For example, the table is other power. The emptiness of the table is the nature, and the space of the table is inputted phenomena. So that's why when they said the great differentiation, the three definition. We call three definition in Tibetan. We say three definition, but we can call three characteristic. Imputational nature do not truly exist. They exist, but not truly. That's why they award one of the extreme. They say that they also award the extreme of annihilation through the two axes of independent nature. So, among the three characteristics, one is the other powers. First is other power. Second is the nature or nature emptiness. Third one is the imputation Inputed phenomena.
Imputed.
Inputed phenomena. Imputed, right?
Imputed.
Phenomena. This means all phenomena has a three nature. Doesn't matter permanence or impermanence, and all phenomena has a three nature. This table has a three nature. The table itself is the other power. We call other power. The emptiness of this table we call the nature. Then the space of this table is we can call imputed characteristic. So why we name this table is other power? Because the table is exists power of causes and condition, other power. And also, according to particularly like my school, like Goma, my school, we claim, we accept all phenomena, permanent, impermanent, all phenomena has three natures. But other school, also we have a different Lobsang school and the church school, they accept, no. All permanent, all phenomena doesn't have a three nature. But the compounded phenomena must have three nature. Other power and nature and inputed nature. There's two different view.
Why other power? Other
Yeah.
That's your words.
For example, the servant of the king.
Yeah.
The servant have to serve to the king according to the wishing of the king. So usually the servant doesn't have a kind of power, what he need to do. Is powered by the king. Then we call other power, that the servant doesn't have a kind of freedom. Is controlled by the king.
Yeah.
This means all the compounded phenomena is coming to exist due to the force of the cause and condition. Is we call the other power. That's when you can see, it makes sense for the compounded phenomena, but it doesn't make sense for the permanent phenomena. Because permanent phenomena doesn't have a causes condition. How we can say, the permanence phenomena are, other power? This question. So, but from our school, for our monastery said, yes, all phenomena has a three nature, other power, the nature and the inputed nature. So how you can posit, other power on the space, on the permanence phenomena? Anybody has some idea, or you can say objection. You can have objection.
No objection.
Yes.
It still boils out to heart control. Form is empty, emptiness is form.
Yeah, this good idea. Yeah, I think Ochun said, emptiness is form, emptiness is. For example, this is answer from the common school. They say, the space is other power because the space exists due to their own emptiness, due to their own nature. Because if there is no emptiness of the space, then there is no space. If there is no emptiness of table, then there is no table. So the table is power of cause and condition, as well as the table is powered of their own nature. That's why space, all the permanence, has their own nature, means the emptiness of the space. So without emptiness of the space, then the space cannot come being into existence.
Geshe, space, there is compounded space and non-compounded space.
Yes, according to Buddhist philosophy, but I'm generally talking. I'm not talking about the great exposition school. Generally, according to Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist point of view, the space is always permanent. because the definition of permanent is different from Buddhist point of view or general point of view. Look at generally point of view, generally even the scientists or the even when we say space, we think just the empty of this empty. The empty is not space. Empty of this house is not space. So I think here there's a little explanation about the meaning of space. So when you say compounded space, which one you can posit? The compounded space, which one you can posit? Can you posit compounded space?
Compounded space.
Before you posit, then can you have a kind of definition of space? Right? So definition or space, kind of epistemology of the space. No.
Okay, I will try.
Yeah, that's why okay, so we move a little bit. So now we learn a little bit about how to avoid the extreme from the the Great Exposure School and Swatantratika and the Chitta Mantra or Manual School. The last one is the middle way. The proponent of the middle way school maintain that they are free from the extreme of annihilation because the conventional existence of all phenomena, because they accept the conventional existence of all phenomena. That means all phenomena exist conventionally. Conventionally is the meaning, I think. Yeah, you're right. That means all phenomena, permanent, impermanent, good and bad, all phenomena exist. The conventional existence of all phenomena. They consider that they are free from the extreme of permanence because the phenomena whatsoever are without ultimate existence. That means all phenomena exist conventionally, they are not exist ultimately. When they say all phenomena exist conventionally, then avoid the inhalation, extreme of inhalation. All phenomena, when you say all phenomena are not exist, truly, inherently, then you avoid the extreme of permanence. According to the consequence school.
Middle way school.
Yeah, middle way school. So look at the view is going more deeper. First two school more talk about causes and condition and permanent impermanence. Then the third school, the Chitta Mantra say, all phenomena divide into three groups, other power, nature, and imputed phenomena. Then he talk about, the Chitta Mantra school talk about nature, emptiness. Then the middle school, there is no exception, because according to Chitta Mantra school, other power and nature exist, inherently, truly. But the imputed phenomena not exist truly. That means the phenomena made into two groups. Some exist, inherently, but some are not. Then middle school, there is no exception, nothing. All phenomena exist conventionally. there's no exception, all phenomena, not exist truly, inherently. Then in the view of the nature, all phenomena going more deeper and deeper and deeper. Finally, look at things are exist kind of conventionally, because it's really conventionally exist, but because when you enter in this hall, you feel, oh, it's big, it's big. That thing from your point of view at that moment is right, this hall is really big for you. When you go other place is bigger than this hall, you think, oh, this is also big. Comparing two of them, this is small, other is bigger. But generally when you say big, is conventionally is a big. There's nothing exists, truly big. And because it is so important to understand that the conventional truth. If you don't understand that conventional truth, then for you not able to possess the ultimate truth. Ultimate truth is kind of look like a space. If there's a space, we can build a house. We can move things here and there. If there's no space, we cannot move, we cannot build, we cannot breathe. So emptiness is look like space. The ultimate truth is look like the house in the space. So I said, for you, I think Tsongkhapa has a very difficult time to understand, the true truth equally. When you try to understand conventional truth, then for you think, yes, things are exist truly, inherently, but not really. So then you think, yes, things not exist truly, things empty of inherent. Then you try to understand emptiness, but finally you fall into, annihilation, because you think nothing exists. So, Madhyamaka school, there's no exception. Everything exists conventionally, nothing exists, truly. Okay, now we'll learn a little bit about how to avoid the extreme of different schools. So, now next we, although those tenets of the lower school, they are not shared by the higher school, are refuted by the higher school of tenets. An understanding of the lower view is an excellent method for gaining an understanding of the higher view. So yes, according to the higher school, the middle school, all school falls into extreme. But you shouldn't think they are kind of useless, because if you is so important to understand the lower view in order to know in order to understand the right view. Lower view is excellent methods for gaining an understanding of higher view. Therefore, you should not despite the lower tenets just because you hold the higher tenets to be superiors. That's why when you think about that, like all Tibetan schools, Sagya, Nyingma, Gelu, Gagyu, whatever, they always think my view is the superior, my view is the middle way or consequence view. But not really, they just follow the text and scripture, but not really understood the middle way or the consequence view. Just follow. For you, is so important, you just think about the nature of all phenomena, how to exist. First, you just hold the view of, the great explosion and think and do some analysis, do study. Then somehow you can see, not really correct. You can see some problems. Then you can reject and try to understand second school. And you can see some problem, then reject and and try to understand the middle, so Chitta Mandala school, then reject. The finally then you can understand the in the middle way or the consequence school point of view. If you just jump, just follow the higher school, then you so difficult to understand because the four schools are like step, like a step. If you are really strong, if you are really fixed, if you have really physical body, you can jump from here to there, Otherwise, it's not easy to understand the highest, school point of view. So this kind of Jime Wangbo is giving kind of advice the people who study the different schools. Then the definition of profound or Buddhist tenets. So we have two tenets, Buddhist and non-Buddhist. So what is the difference between Buddhist and non-Buddhist tenets? There's been the definition of profound or Buddhist tenet is a person who accepts the four seals, which are the views, testifying that the doctrine is Buddha's, the four seals are. That means the person who accept is kind of promise, right? Promise, what's the difference between promise and accept? Claim.
It's not like
No, promise.
Claim.
Claim, yeah.
No,
But a promise is
it's not a
promise is
claim.
wrong. Promise is not right.
No, right?
Claim.
Claim. So the claim and accept is same.
Almost.
There's been no
Assert
exact.
is stronger.
Ah.
Assert is the strongest.
Yeah, that's been, when we say, accept means whatever they claim, they must claim due to the, authentic, kind of solid reason and logic.
Yeah.
Solid, that's been look like, this is my end, this is the finalist. I'm not going more further than it's kind of asset. So, the Buddhist tenets mean that a person who, claim, who accept for sins, these are the Buddhist school. But, based on the tenets, the person who reject the four seals, then they are non-Buddhist. The four seals are, everybody understand, all compounded phenomena are impermanent. It's very easy. There's no any kind of, not really argument in like different schools. The second, all contaminated things are miserable. All contaminated things are miserable. So there's a lot of argument, lot of discussion. First, second, third, all phenomena are sadness. Number 4, nirvana is peace. Number 4, there's no any argument. But number 2 and 3, there's a lot of argument, lot of debate. So, I think everybody is going to agree, all compounded phenomena are impermanent, right? I think everybody is going to agree. But second, all contaminated things are miserable.
Contaminated emotions, right? There's another translation says emotion.
Yeah, when you look in the dictionaries, contaminated means emotion. It doesn't mean it's kind of definition. It doesn't mean the definition. So look at, my body is contaminated phenomena, but my body is not emotion.
Right.
So all phenomena all impermanent, let's say, all impermanence phenomena we can divide into just two groups, contaminated and
Uncontaminated.
contaminated phenomena.
What is, okay, you got to define one by
Miserable,
one.
what do you mean
You
by
have to posit
miserable
what
as
is
well?
non-contaminated
Yeah.
and what is the contaminated. Can you give example?
Example is, very easy. For example, when we say contaminated phenomena, we need to think two different ways how to contaminate. Yes, it's easy to understand all the in the emotional level. For example, I have a kind of compassion towards someone, really want to do something for him or her. Behind, there's a kind of condition for me. I want to do that because then in the future I'm going to get something. That means the motivation is contaminated by kind of attachment. It's very easy. And also, when all the negative emotion contaminated by ignorance, all the it doesn't matter, attachment, all negative emotion contaminated by ignorance. That's what the example was, the body and the sense of body. The sense of body is, split or cover all body, all parts of body. The sense of body, the sensation of the body is, covered, everywhere, all the body parts. When you touch here, you can feel it. When you touch here, you can feel it. That means the sensation of the body is covered all parts of body.
There are sensations on all parts of the body.
Body contaminate, content, how we can use cover,
Pervade,
covered like
pervade.
Pervasive.
Yeah.
pervasive, we say pervasive suffering, pervasive everywhere. So that's why same, the ignorance is, pervasive in all negative emotions. There's all negative emotion contaminated by ignorance.
So that's the positive.
Is the word miserable as well, isn't
Is it true? Yeah.
it?
Is it,
Miserable is very,
or suffering? Can you use suffering?
yeah.
Karen, I think we are
Miserable.
too far. The first part, let's settle the first part, contaminated. Then we go to suffering or misery.
The second, so this means it's easy to understand how to contaminate by emotion. But the physical body, this table also, this table is the contaminated phenomena.
Because we see it as objectively real, which is why it is contaminated.
So because it's contaminated, is a result or effect of our karma.
How?
Effect or result of our karma. So whatever you have a possession, like a possession thing, all the possession thing on you because due to your own, the karma. This result of the karma. That's why they call contaminated phenomena.
Wow.
So how about the emptiness nature of the table then? Is it considered contaminated as well?
No.
No, that's
Because the table is this we have argue, not argue debate when we talk about the collective topic. The table is arising by its causes and condition, but the emptiness is not arising by it causes and condition.
Yeah.
So emptiness is totally, contaminated phenomena.
Emptiness itself is not compounded.
Not only emptiness, even though when you think about the meditation level, the power of seeing. When someone totally, truly meditate on emptiness without, self moving, at that moment the mind is totally absorbed the emptiness. Totally absorbed emptiness. At that moment, the mind is totally uncontaminated phenomena. At that moment. When someone, single pointedly meditate on emptiness, that moment the object emptiness is uncontaminated phenomena. The subject mind also is uncontaminated phenomena. But when someone awake from the meditation, and then the second the mind also became another contaminated phenomena. It looks like the mind also segregates. So that's why I think when you read, some of you already read book which is written in like a Pali tradition, and they always mention about 3 seals, not 4 seals, 3 seals, because they don't accept.
Selflessness.
No, they have they believe selflessness, but they don't think that all contaminated things are miserable. So that's why somebody say the miserable is good, somebody say dissatisfaction is good, somebody say the suffering is good. If you think in the general, in general way, generally, miserable means kind of lot of problem, Miserable is, I cannot bear is miserable things. And also when you say suffering, that's not really correct way to say. Because among the Four Noble Truths, we say, dukkha. In Sanskrit, the dukkha. That there's, when they need to translate it, need to translate into English, there's no more words. Suffering or miserable, dissatisfaction. There's no any more words. So we have to use this one. And also I think for me, more easy to say the suffering, because suffering we divide into 3, right? The pervasive suffering, suffering of changing. So the dukkha is pervasive suffering, not the suffering of changing, not suffering of suffering, the dukkha. That's why we can say the dukkha is suffering. Also think about it. When we say the dukkha is suffering, we need to think 2 different ways. One, we have this dukkha. Due to this dukkha, we have a lot of suffering. That means dukkha nature is suffering. All the suffering is arising due to the dukkha. Right? We have a sickness because of the dukkha. We need a house because of dukkha. So whatever we have, most of things for the dukkha. So that's why there's a 4 seals or 3 seals. So I did kind of little bit study about why there's a 4 seals, why there are 4 seals, why there are 3 seals, not 4 seals. And there's a 2 some sutra mention 4 seals, and some sutra mention 3 seals. Particularly Pali tradition they mention 3 seals. So nirvana is peace. So what is the differences between nirvana and cessation? Nirvana and cessation. What is the differences between nirvana and cessation?
Do you mean that cessation means that bad things have stopped? Nirvana means that bad things have stopped, all the good things have survived.
Everything ceased.
Yes. Because, you know,
There's no.
also we can say, you know, achieve nirvana, achieve cessation. Nirvana is also, you know, the achievement, and cessation also achievement.
Okay, cessation is a annotation for ending. See, in language itself, cessation means
Cease, stop,
it
finish.
is not ending of something.
Mm.
Nirvana is the beginning of something. So
Hmm.
it's, I mean, in language, I'm not saying that this is correct. The cessation means you end of something. End of something does not denote begins of anything, because that doesn't comes together. And then nirvana itself says is the term itself is begin of something, or if you objectified it. So cessations and nirvana, they are not loosely equal. They are two things, but you can put it together to put into context with remarks. It's like begins of here or end of there.
Okay.
So it's,
But
this is
actually-
end of Singapore, begin of Malaysia. Or you can say that, but
Yeah,
you
yeah,
still
yeah.
refer to the same point.
I think there's many end of the Singapore, beginning of Singapore is equivalent.
No.
But where's the end Singapore is beginning Malaysia? Where's the beginning Singapore? Malaysia.
For that point, only that point.
But cessation means it just stops. It doesn't mean anything else. It's just like
Exactly.
the class at the end of so many weeks. That's the cessation of the classes on something.
Yes, finish.
But then you can start something else. Whereas with nirvana, then that really is, yeah, it's starting. It's a different thing,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Stage, yeah.
It's not. It's not necessarily
Because, you know,
start something else.
The cessation is peace. I'm not sure he's talking about the entity or he's talking about when someone achieves nirvana is they have a lot of peace. They don't know, you know.
Yeah.
The nirvana is peace. Cessation, yeah.
Sensation does not be permanent, does it?
Yeah, there's a two different view and based on the different schools. According to the Madhyamaka school, cessation is permanent. This cessation is permanent, and also according to the first two schools, cessation is impermanence. So that's why we have a two different view, about the four seals. Or also, the number 3, all phenomena are selfless. And also, you shouldn't think, when you say self, usually when you say self, is talking about the person, human person, right? And I myself. We never say, oh, this table is self. We never use the table itself, right?
Yeah, the table itself, we do say that.
It itself.
Yeah, it
It
is.
is self. Oh, that's good. Then
Not
that means,
it's
all self are,
selfless.
all phenomena are selfless. So, okay, so the definition of, the Buddhist proponent is kind of, they have to assert, they have to claim, 3 seals. Then there's a kind of objection, objection. When you look at the mark, just leave in a lot of sentences, then the mark become objection. So you say, okay, the definition is this. If in this the kind of this in case, then saying what about the Vasi Putraya school? Vasi Putraya schools. There's a school which is branch of the Great Exposition School. So they're saying what about the Vasi Putraya school would not be proponent of Buddhist tenets because they accept self of person. That means they're saying, okay, according to your point of view, then what about the Vasi Putra school? Is the school is a Buddhist tenets or not? It's because it is not Buddhist tenets because it accepts a self of person. That means person exists, kind of selfly, not selflessness. Person is not selflessness. this kind of objection.
So they do not avoid the extreme of permanence.
No, you got to read below.
Yeah.
It's not that.
That's right.
Yeah, they avoid the because selflessness did not come into the extreme. It's it's really in Tibetan in the Tibetan language it's very easy to distinguish, but English not easy. So when we say among the four seals, the selflessness, what the definition of selfless, then you can see right there. Okay, just the answer, there is no such as false seal because the self that they assert is self-sufficient, substantial existent, whereas the selflessness of the four seals refer to the absence of permanent, unity, independent. So, yeah, this is the exactly kind of the definition of selfless.
Selflessness in the four seal is absence of
Of
permanent, unitary, and
Unity, independence. So they're talking, among the four seals, they're talking about selflessness due to the absence of three characteristics. Also, there's a lot of, I think, argument and also a lot of debate. Some of the school in Tibetan school,
you got to uncall the wire, you have to be straight the wire.
okay. So among the four seals, they talk the selfless is talking the absence of permanent, unitary, and independent. So that means the Vasiputra school assert things are not exist as a permanent, unitary, and independently. Permanently, unitarily, independently. Things are empty, are permanently, unitarily, independently. So not all things, self, the person is absence of permanent, the person is absence of unitary, the person is absence of independent. So because all school doesn't have lot of doubt about all phenomena, because they can understand the table is not exist, permanently, unitarily, independently. But the person, when we say the person, being, because look at, we believe in the previous life and next life. So who is really coming from the previous life? Who is going really to the next life? Then we immediately think about our body, mind and speech. The body is not going, the speech is not going. Then finally we think the mind. Then that's why there's a lot of really a lot of doubt about how we can posit person. And also look at, so usually say the person is eating like a banana or a fruit or a cake. So when I eat something in my mouth, let's say the person is eating, the mouth is not the person, right?
Yep.
The person say, oh, I am full. So stomach is full, then say I am full. That's when you look like inside our body, there's a kind of person, there's something, it is kind of soul, the Christian talk about soul. There's look like permanent things always exist within us. There's a lot of doubt about the person, a lot of doubt about the the being. There's not a lot of doubt about the external factors, like external phenomena. So they differentiate, yes, the Vasiputra school claim the person is absence of permanent, unitary, and independent. But still they accept the person is accept that the asset is self-sufficient, substantially existent. That means the person is absence of permanent, unity, independent. The person exists substantially. Person exists substantially. So look at what does mean the person exists substantially.
You exist with a substance. You have your components that make up you, which is.
Then all impermanent component phenomena must have to they have to accept all component phenomena exist substantially. They did not claim.
Sorry, you mean the
Yeah.
Vesiputria school does not accept or accept?
They no accept all component phenomena exist substantially.
They
Only
do
the
not.
person.
Okay.
Only the person. So yeah, look at. So now the point is come here. The person is absence of three characteristics, but the person exists substantially. So then they think that this particular school think the person have to be like not the body, not the mind, not the speech. They think the appointed person is the kind of mind and consciousness. If say the person is the body, the person is the physical body, then the physical body composed so many different parts. When they point the mind is because they can put it particularly in even the very single moment. Mind. So the person exists substantially, not exists inherent, permanently, unitarily, independently. So now I think we just finished in the kind of general introduction about the Buddhist tenets. So next, then we can move great exposure school. So now you have a copy. You can read a little bit the differences for them. The Great Exposure School, the proponents, the presentation of tenets of proponent of the is in four parts: definition, sub-school, epistemology, right? Etymology, and recitation of tenets. This is same all schools. First definition, then the sub-school, the etymology, and the recitation of tenets. A definition of proponent of the Great Exposure School exposition is a person propounding the lesser vehicle tenets who does not accept self-cognizing cognitions, consciousness, and who accept the external object as being truly established. This is the definition of Great Exposure School. Proponent of Great Exposure School. So there's two things, right? They accept self-cognizing consciousness.
They do not accept.
And do not accept what? External object as being truly established. And also here, so here external object, it doesn't mean external, the house and car and light. Include also the five organs. Include.
Five faculties.
Sorry? So what is the definition of, what is the definition of proponent of great exposure school? A person who propounding lesser vehicle, this means they must be included into lesser vehicle, is a person who include into the lesser vehicle tenets, who accept the self-organizing consciousness and who reject,
Does not accept,
yeah,
Reject self-organizing.
rejects.
rejects, self-organizing consciousness and who accept the external objects as being truly established. Not only, so there are so many different paths, right? One is that have to be lesser vehicle tenets, then must be person. So here the school and the person must differentiate. The school is tenets who, their view, they become school. The proponent is the person who accept, who reject the true things. Okay, so this is the definition. And there's another, the objection. The next, this is the definition, the school, the next we just look, there are three groups of proponents of the great explosion: Kashmiris, Aprantaka, and Magadha schools. They are more popular and more famous, but not include all of them. That great Kashmiri, then the people who live in Kashmir who follow this particular tenets. The Aprantaka is now you can find in the Assam parts of Assam. The Magadha is the Bodh Gaya. Now we call Bodh Gaya. Ancient time they call Magadha. They are generally, denoted to be 18 sub-school divided according to the Waris, account.
Various accounts.
Yeah, from 2, 3, or 4 basis sub-school. That means there are 18 different schools. So, 18 different schools. So according to, the history, so at the Buddha time there was a king, he had I think, there's a king, there was a king, his name is Titi. He's how many dreams? 18 dreams. One night he had 18 different dreams. One, he saw there's 18 different monkey play with the big white piece of cloth. The old monkey is fighting about the piece of cloth. Finally, they tear the piece into 18 different pieces. Each monkey has one piece white cloth. The next morning, and the king asked, question about the dreaming. And Buddha asked about the 18 pieces in the future. My, the dharma, going into many different parts, particularly the 18 parts. Their view are different, but all this follows same practice. And also one dream the king has had, he saw there's a monkey, whole body is contaminated by, right, like a shed, right, very dirty, whole body is very dirty. His whole body is totally dirty. And there's another monkey has a very little dirty top of the tails. Other half is very clean. The monkey who is totally, his body is totally dirty. He pointed, oh, you are very dirty. Himself is totally dirty, but he's pointed one of the monkey, oh, you are really dirty. Then he asked what does mean this dream. He said in the future People never accept their faults. See, they always point at the other faults, but they have a lot of faults, but never accept. I'm very clean, I'm very honest, I'm good, or they are bad. So there's 18 different dreams. So the one dream is she saw this 18 monkey, there's 18 sub school in the the great exposure school. It has the most branches. The 18 sub school are there's a minor different, but most of the view is same. Then the etymology, right? Etymology. The reason for calling the master, Vasumitra is the one of the famous great exposition school, follow school. So we call his name is Vasumitra, proponent of great exposition school. Why we call great exposition school? Because he particularly follow the tenets, follow a great detailed exposition. It's a text which is mentioned more about the tenets. It more mentioned about the great exposition school. That's why the master follow the great detailed exposition text. That's what we call the great exposition school. Because he proponed not only that, he proponed that the 3 times past, present, and future are particularly substantial entity. There's a 2 reasons. One, he follow the text which is called great detailed exposition. He follow the text that we name great exposition school. Second, he claim that time, present, future, past are entity of substantial. So the three term is entity of substantial, as we call great exposure school. So according to this school, the past and future, the present, 3 time are substantial entity. Only not this school, as well as the Sutantra school also accept the 3 terms are substantial entity. Okay, we just stop here. So tomorrow, next class, we talk about how the 3 terms are substantial entity. So I think we're going to spend the great exposure school maybe 2 or 3 class, then we move into next school. Okay, thank you.